And so I have come to a conclusion that if I don't have an actual explanation for some phenomena or some natural occurrence within that fictional setting or unnatural, I probably should not bother with a half-baked one unless that would truly add something to the story, something worthwhile, connected to the rest of the plot, and thus adding this explanation despite it being unfinished or incomplete would truly enrich the setting and also help the characters within better confront the reality around them. If none of that would come out of me forcing this clarification into the story, I feel that I would be better off just not including that whatsoever, leaving it to the reader to either come up with an explanation or just accept it as a part of this different world. This is again something that I have mentioned before, and it is really one of the many reasons why I'm not going to write true science fiction anytime soon. There is one exception to this, and that would be a phenomenon that the characters themselves do not really understand, and it somehow fits the narrative in a non intrusive, logical way. But obviously, this cannot be used often, or well, preferably at all, because the characters don't get it, so it's fine when the reader doesn't understand as well. It's not exactly the way I want to write my stories. On the other hand, it is desirable for me when it comes to something that is very important to my being able to accept certain things that the author tries to portray, and that is different races, non human. I should not be able to understand them, not fully, in some cases, not even partially, as the reader, and the character within the story, who is a pure human, should have those troubles as well, although that character should be offered the opportunity to progressively smoothen out the curve of misunderstanding or disunderstanding this other creature, and then can take me on the ride alongside with him. I'm speaking of the protagonist because one point of view throughout all of my stories. Also should mention that I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not educated in any way, shape, or form. This all comes from me reading and otherwise experiencing myriads of different stories and coming to my own conclusions about what I want to create myself. So this should not be taken in any way, shape, or form, well, seriously, and as some sort of a guide or anything like that, such as the idea that what I am doing is the correct way and what others did was wrong. That is not the case whatsoever, and I do feel that I have to stress this out. I also am still trying to avoid any negativity, so there is that as well. Moving on, the Rapid Arrows, their plan, how to approach the totem was fully formed in the previous chapter, and now it's up to one involuntary volunteer to attempt rushing through about a billion Indian guards, hide behind a rock, and somehow topple the totem, thus dispersing its protector's fighting spirit. And who will be the brave, valiant soul fast and agile, who will undertake this quest successfully and then ends up slightly tangled in a messed up idiom, promising that him and the rest of his friends will make their beds from laurels and other similar vegetables before the sun goes down. Yes, after drawing lots, it comes to Speedy to try his luck and hopefully what he'd been named after. So, bag full of cones, legs ready. He barely makes it past the first tree before one of the Indians hits him with one cone. That's one life down that he throws to the ground. Then three more Indians hit him in a quick succession, costing him more paper slips. And despite him calling them saboteurs and calling out their vast superiority in numbers, all he can do is to pay up with his lives and continue forward until the next group ambushes him, surrounds him. He gives them all one last of his lives and then somehow makes it behind that big rock, all out of lives, thus unable, according to the rules, to act against the Indians in any way. The totem is right in front of his eyes. The guard next to the circle of stones around the totem is unaware of his presence. All he needs now is to somehow get back into the game. And then salvation comes in the form of an idea. He is going to signal back using semaphore, which is a method of conveying words using gestures, arms, legs, body posture, something akin to the Morse code, a non-verbal form of communication because obviously he cannot shout, so he is going to tell them that since he had lost all of his lives, he cannot attack. The rest of the club, still hiding behind, reads his message, and they also get an idea how to transport one of their lives to Speedy. They are going to use Sly Boots as the harbinger of the Indians' incoming demise. Also just realized that I completely forgot to properly introduce Sly Boots, as in, how does he look like? A small midnight black dog with a cheeky, shrewd expression, always wearing a yellow color. Back to the plan. Yarka signals back that they are going to send Sly Boots with the life hidden behind his collar, and so he runs right past the Indians, who do notice him, know that he belongs to the Rapid Arrows, but just assume that he's lost. Speedy receives his spare life, sprints into the circle. The guard notices him at the last moment, throws a cone, albeit he is shaken, and thus his inaccurate shot misses, and thus Speedy gleefully topples the totem, ending the game in their victory. And since they still have more than enough time, the groups are going to swap their roles of defenders and attackers and redo the game for everyone to enjoy. Next chapter, we see a boy being approached by another one. One is carrying a football, while the other one has a flobbert, which apparently is a pellet, small caliber gun. The one with the ball wants to do an exchange, so they trade the ball for the gun. Its previous owner even adds some ammo to sweeten the deal. Then a group of boys gather around. Everyone is fascinated by the dangerous object. The new owner of the Flubbert is doing some not exactly intelligent things with his new possession, aiming it at people. Something the Rapid Arrows notice They try to talk some sense into the boy, but he's being dismissive the same way others who then ended up hurting their own friends were as well. Well, Mirek adds a warning that they will call an officer if the boy continues being dangerous to his surroundings, which turns him even more dismissive that they belong to the sandpit with the rest of the scaredy cats, but then they barely make it behind the corner when they hear a shot screams, they see people running, and when they are rushing back to the place, one of the witnesses warns them that something terrible had happened there. When they do get there, there is a boy laying on the ground. The situation seems well over, but when the doctor arrives, it turns out that the boy lost one eye, the other will hopefully be saved in the hospital, and then an officer comes for the perpetrator, who then will, alongside with his parents, have to come forward and deal with the consequences of trading the safe ball for the dangerous flubber, which in the wrong hands can cause serious damage. And this is where I'm going to stop for today. Next time, more about books, more stories.